This podcast is made possible by the listener members of Nashville Public Radio.
This is the Nash Villager Podcast. It's November 26th, 2024. The Opryland Hotel opened on this day in 1977. And yes, it was properly called the Opryland Hotel back then, not the Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center. When it opened, it was just a hotel. A really nice one with a grand staircase in the lobby, staff wearing top hats, and hand-painted murals in some public spaces. But still, just a hotel. It had 615 rooms and 54 suites. The most expensive night there would cost you $250. The simplest room went for $24 a night. I'm Nina Cardona, and this is your daily digest of what's happening around Middle Tennessee from Nashville Public Radio, WPLN News. I feel like the Opryland Hotel has evolved in a way that tells a lot about the changes that Nashville's gone through in the last few generations. When it was built, downtown and the neighborhoods ringing the city's center were in really rough shape. People who could afford to avoid the core of Nashville did so as much as possible. It was a phenomenon that started with the general white flight of the 50s and 60s, away from desegregated facilities and into more racially stratified suburbs. And so there was a move to build substitutes for some of what had been abandoned. The formerly grand hotels downtown were all either slated for demolition or become kind of threadbare. The only one left now, the Hermitage Hotel, was in a kind of quasi-dormant period where it was mostly just the home away from home for out-of-state legislators. The Opryland Hotel stepped into the breach adjacent to the relatively new purpose-built theater for the Grand Ole Opry and the Opryland theme park. And soon after, work began on building out a new zone for retail and restaurants that some hoped would become a major tourist district. And there was similar energy in other places around Davidson County's perimeter, where shopping malls sprang up to anchor new areas where community and commerce could come together. All that energy to develop the Opryland complex came from a company that is definitely old Nashville, the insurance firm National Life and Accident, the same one that started WSM and its hit show, the Grand Ole Opry. That firm was behind the whole massive redevelopment around the intersection of Briley Parkway and McGavock Pike. I don't think the business district across from Opryland Hotel ever quite lived up to the initial dream. But when a new kind of Nashville business took over, the hotel itself quickly became a behemoth on its own. In 1983, National Life sold the Opryland properties to a Dallas-based company called Gaylord. That same year, a major expansion at the hotel added convention facilities and even a kind of indoor city park called the Conservatory. New restaurants were added. WSM Radio operated a studio. Visitors could watch the DJ through a massive window. A number of gift shops were incorporated. And the hotel really leveled up its Christmas celebration, adding decorations and events that were aimed as much at locals as anyone else. And let me tell you, we locals ate it up. Every time my family had out-of-town guests, we took them to walk around Opryland Hotel, and they were amazed. Other families made an annual holiday tradition of taking a slow drive around the hotel to look at the outdoor lights. Cars would wait in line for hours to get onto the property. The ballrooms became the hot place to hold your high school's prom. And later, when my best friend worked at the theme park, I'd often meet her at the hotel after her shift so we could hang out there. The people running the show at the Opryland Hotel weren't from here anymore, but we didn't care. It was ours, regardless. At the same time, there was a new kind of energy bubbling up for trying to bring downtown back, to make it the kind of place locals would want to be again, too. New, tall buildings were constructed on the hope that people would be willing to use them. There was even an attempt to build a downtown mall, thinking that might draw the locals. It didn't. The downtown library is on that site now. But Gaylord and the Opryland Hotel played an important role in finally making real inroads towards revitalizing downtown. In the mid-90s, a handful of high-profile investments near the intersection of Lower Broad and 2nd Avenue finally sparked interest in spending our free time in the city's core. The Hard Rock Cafe, of Planet Hollywood, and Gaylord's massive line dancing bar and concert venue, the Wild Horse Saloon. One of the really important factors in getting people to actually go to that area at night was the fact that Opryland Hotel guests could ride a Gaylord bus direct to the Wild Horse and back. Instant tourist infusion. which actually helped locals feel like it was a safe and fun place to be, too. For a brief moment, the needs and wants of the downtown core, of Nashville's entertainment industry, and of local residents were all in alignment. But in a lot of ways, everyone's paths have diverged. Nashville's grown much bigger, much more complex, and in some ways, more stratified in new and different ways. The tourist district exploded and became its own thing. Locals have developed an appetite for a downtown beyond that zone, a downtown that's really for us, even if it means building a new section of it across the river on the East Bank. We've got more places to see pretty holiday decorations or throw a pretty great prom. And the Opryland Hotel, well, it doesn't really function as a community center anymore. It's evolved into a convention resort that's humongous and evidently quite lucrative, but off on its own, on the edge of town, away from the center of things. In just a few minutes, how one Tennessee college went from no band to marching in the nation's most famous parade. That's coming up after the newscast.
You know how important WPLN News has been to you and your family, and you have seen how high-quality local journalism is necessary to a thriving community. You can ensure that this service stays strong and stays available to all of Nashville and Middle Tennessee. Join the Producers Circle with your gift of $100 or more each month and make the bold statement that you support the mission of a more informed and engaged community. Start your philanthropic journey with Nashville Public Radio today at WPLN.org.
Here's the latest from WPLN News. Economic advisors say it looks like Tennessee's tax revenue will show modest growth over the next year. State officials like Governor Bill Lee get these forecasts to help plan out the budget for the coming year. For the past 5, Tennessee's tax revenue grew and grew, but it's leveling off. Monthly collections failed to meet the budget estimate 6 times so far this year. Speaking to reporters yesterday, Lee said the plateau was inevitable.
I think the decisions are not what will be cut as what will be funded and what will decide not to be funded, or how much we fund one program versus another.
But it will mean some work for the General Assembly. Axios reports the economic forecast had Tennessee Democrats criticizing state leaders for what they call corporate tax giveaways. They're talking about a package from the spring legislative session that included about $2 billion in tax cuts and refunds for businesses. Residents in West Tennessee are urging Ford Motors to sign a community benefits agreement as the company develops its new manufacturing campus. The legally binding agreement would have Ford agree to such things as hiring local workers at livable wages, supporting locals as the rents and cost of living go up, and monitoring the site's environmental impact. Though the community group invited Ford to negotiate, the auto company has yet to respond. The Tennessee Lookout reports that the group has tried to meet with Ford for 2 years. Ford points to their own outreach efforts to gather community input and develop a plan, which has yet to be released. Ford is set to build a $5 billion campus in Haywood County. It will include manufacturing facilities for electric vehicles and batteries, a wastewater treatment plant, and more. There have been concerns expressed over the quality of water and air produced by the campus and other developments. Neighbors around the small towns of Stanton and Mason say they're already feeling the negative effects. Property taxes have gone up, houses are being sold, and renters are forced to look elsewhere. In Nashville 6 years ago, a local group called Stand Up Nashville reached an agreement with Nashville Soccer Club as Jodas Park was developed. The franchise agreed to promises such as building affordable housing, to pay stadium workers a livable wage, and create a child care facility. One rural Tennessee county has a teacher whose entire focus is educating kids about opioid prevention. Rural Bledsoe County is particularly hard hit by an epidemic of opioid addiction, even in schools. In recent years, school nurses had to administer overdose reversal drugs on a number of occasions. When the state distributed each county's portion of money from a national opioid settlement, the Tennessean reports the county mayor chose to spend it on prevention efforts in schools, not jails. The county school district hired a veteran health teacher whose husband worked on a meth task force. Now she travels to classrooms from elementary to high school and to community fairs and school events. She talks about the dangers of illicit drugs, ranging from physical effects to the impact on finances and family relationships. And she encourages students to speak to school counselors. The holiday travel season has begun, and the Nashville International Airport has a new program that might be a gift for some travelers and their loved ones. The BNA passport allows people without a ticket to go through security. But you need to plan in advance, says BNA's Stacy Nickens.
You complete an application online. Do it at least 2 days in advance. You receive your approval. You come to the airport and you can just plain watch or wait for family members. Remember, since September 11th, we haven't been able to do that. This now gives you that opportunity.
BNA is not expecting record-setting travel this Thanksgiving. Still, airport officials are urging travelers and those dropping them off or picking them up to build in extra time for their plans. On our website, WPLN.org, you can hear a full feature that checks in with local passengers as they pass through the airport. There's a new effort underway to support older Tennesseans. The state's health department has created a new Office of Health Aging. To start, it's charged with expanding services for dementia care and with making public health systems more age-friendly. Those efforts will build upon a current program in 19 West Tennessee counties that was recently recognized by the Trust for America's Health. The program links public health officials with social service groups, private doctors, faith communities, and area agencies that deal with aging and disability. You'll find more news anytime at WPLN.org. A decade ago, East Tennessee State University did not have a marching band. Now it has 360 members and will take part in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade later this week. WPLN's Char Daston reports on the band's journey from non-existence to national television.
In 2014, ETSU hired Joe Moore to create a new band, the Marching Bucks. The university had a band years before, but all its stuff had been sold off. Moore says that left him with a pretty big shopping list.
Getting instruments, getting uniforms designed, getting color guard equipment like flagpoles and rifles, and designing the flags.
All that plus commissioning a fight song. And, of course, he had to find band members. That meant going to high schools to recruit. Earlier in his career, Moore directed high school bands in East Tennessee, so he's got connections to the community there.
I had some band directors, more, especially in more of the rural areas, that said no one had ever come and visit them before.
Once he had his people, the next step was putting together a show. That's a tall order, deciding on music, marching formations, color schemes for the flags. But Moore took things a step further than most band directors.
A lot of college shows that I've seen don't really tell a story. It's just a lot of pop music. We do a lot of pop music, but we tell a story with it.
That's Forrest Stevens, a sophomore biology major from Spring Hill, Tennessee, who plays piccolo in the band. Her first show was a take on Sleepy Hollow.
We had actually someone from the theater department come in and play the Headless Horseman for us.
Stevens has been in marching bands since 8th grade and knows all the challenges that come along with it.
Bring water, hydrate or dihydrate, sunscreen, bug spray if we're out on the practice field.
Getting all those people to practice in the Tennessee summer heat takes some charisma. The students appreciate their director's sense of humor, like the things he's willing to announce to the whole band over the stadium PA.
He's like, does anybody have a pocket knife? I need to borrow it. I stopped carrying one when I learned to kill a man with my bare hands. I need to open a box. I love this man's sense of humor. He is hysterical.
After the Marching Bucks started in 2015, word got out about it pretty quickly. College bands often aim to be about 1% of the student body. ETSU has far surpassed that. Today, it has 360 members. That's bigger than the band at the much larger UT Knoxville. But growing the band wasn't Joe Moore's only goal. He always had another dream.
I really would love to have a band in the Macy's Day Parade one year.
And on his second try applying, the band got accepted. He still feels a bit like an underdog.
If you look at the university bands that are going to be in it with us this year, those are flagship schools for their states. And we're a regional school. I'm just really proud of my kids for achieving this.
Moore hopes the Marching Bucks will remember their time in the spotlight at this year's Macy's Day Parade. But he also hopes they can use some of the simpler lessons they learned in band.
We talk all the time about, just being a good person, look up from your cell phone when you're walking across campus and smile at somebody, or, make eye contact or whatever. And I hope these are things that will carry over, trying to help the community.
Chard Aston, WPLN News.
We do this roundup of Nashville news every weekday. Please consider subscribing on your favorite podcasting app. Thanks so much to all of you who've left 5 stars, a thumbs up, or review in your app of choice. A little bit of love really does tell the algorithms that more people should hear about us. And of course, everything at WPLN News is listener supported. You can make a donation at WPLN.org. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. Let's make this day a good one. And we'll catch back up tomorrow.